Hi, welcome to Lulu's Way. I'm Lulu and I'm glad you're here. So yesterday I went up to Bill's shop, Pilgrim Van Builds in Ipswich, Massachusetts. He is the same gentleman that he took out my passenger seat, and that involved a lot of wiring uh, so that the airbags were not affected. He also installed this Max Air fan right here, and he installed two solar panels on my roof and hooked them up to my Bluetti. The problem I was having with my electrical on this last trip I went on is that I have a beast of a Bluetti. It's a 2000 watt, and I have 200 watts of solar. Um, this this Bluetti will take 700 watts of solar. So now, if you can imagine that the maximum input I can have is 700 watts of solar, but I only can fit 200 on my roof. So I got the 200, and it just, because this is such a beast, it just basically just trickles in. If I had a Bluetti 250 or a Jackery 240 or a Jackery 500, it would probably fill up. But this is a 2000. So for me to fill this up is going to take a lot of solar. I only have the two panels. So then I went and had a connection installed from my car battery to the Bluetti so that I could also charge while I drove if it wasn't sunny, if it was raining, and the solar panels were not going to be doing anything while I was driving. I thought while I'm driving, I can take some in. So I had that set up. So the way that it looked for numbers is that on a good sunny day, um, my 200-watt solar panels would take in about, I think the highest I ever saw was maybe 120 watts. Um, Same for the connection that I had to my car battery, about 120, 110, 120. So whichever one I picked, it was going to trickle in. But if I could use it while I drive, when I otherwise wouldn't be generating electricity while I drove, let's just say because it wasn't a sunny day, or it was raining, or it was at nighttime, I could charge while I drive. So this last trip I went on to Arizona. I went to Arizona for 2 months, and I really struggled. I struggled to just keep it enough to use. Like, it would always fluctuate in between like 10% and maybe 30%. Maybe, like, I could get it up to 30 if I had a really bright sunny day or I drove a lot. But then, if I use my pressure cooker, that uses 10% of my Bluetti. So when I have 30, I'm thinking I got to keep my phone and my iPad charged. I want to be able to use my tea kettle in the morning. That uses about maybe 4%. Um, and so I would just kind of pick and choose what I could do, because I mean, I just can't just use it freely because I wasn't generating. Um, so Bill at Pilgrim Van Builds, he had a really great idea. So what I had installed was what they call a DC to DC charger. Do I know exactly what that is? No. I said to him, can you explain it to me like I'm five? Tell me what a DC to DC charger is, but, like, talk to me like I'm 5 years old. And so he explained it, and I still don't get it because it has to do with volts. And my car battery is a 12 volt, and when it comes through the wire, which is a new wire, he did a new wire from the battery into the van because the other one, the gauge was too small. So now it's a big, thick gauge wire coming from under the hood. He said, so it's coming from a 12-volt battery, and by the time it gets into the DC to DC charger, it's like 52 volts or something. I don't even know what any of that means. All I know is that I am blown away by what this is doing. Blown away. I'm going to tell you some numbers, and then I'm going to show you the whole installation and the setup that he did. When I left his place last night, it was on 18%. When I got home, which was 20 miles later, it was on 35%. I was like, I almost 20% I got just from one ride. It would take me a day to maybe get that. Okay. So that was a 20-mile ride. So when I come out to the van this morning, it was on 35%. I went to the grocery store, which is 6.5 miles. It went up from 35% to 65%. Okay, so that's another 30. Then on my way back from the grocery store, another 6.5 miles. Now it's on 94%. That is how fast I can get to 100. A trip to the grocery store and back is going to charge me up. I mean, this is all I want. I just want to cook. I want to cook in my pressure cook. I want to make my broccoli and my carrots and my sweet potatoes. And I want to just do it whenever I want. I don't want to have to work so hard and wait so long to generate the electricity that's just not coming in. So I am blessed because this is my solution. I am so grateful. So um, I'll tell you a little bit about the installation. Okay, so the box that needed to be installed is about like this big, kind of deep. Um, my first idea is that it could be installed inside this cabinet, but that was a no-go because it needs to breathe, because it has little vents and fans on it. So the next place I thought of was right here. I have these two bags here that I keep things in, and it's a nice little spot for storage. But I thought it could go right here. Like he was going to put a board up here, and it could go right here. So it's just this big box. Then I was like, that's going to be a real sacrifice because this little bag holds a lot of stuff. This little bag holds stuff. So I thought, are there any other options? So I started, as he was preparing all the wiring, he was doing all the wiring up front. And I was just like, I'm going to think of a place that it can go that's not here. So I said, I got to get really creative here because it has to breathe. It has to have a place to mount to. And I'd really rather not look at it. So I came up with a spot and it met his approval. Let me show you where we shoved it. So I'm working with these shop lights today because it's it's dusk and it's been very cloudy all day. We got no light, and I want everything to be seen well. So what I asked him is, I said, "What about over here, Bill?" So look, all right. So now this is my food pantry. You know how this is my food pantry. I have two of these right here that need to come in and out. This is what holds all my pantry items when I travel. Right? So I don't want anything to interfere with these. But now check out where we put it. It's right on the leg of the bed. That's right here. Here it is mounted. It's mounted on sideways. It doesn't interfere over here. So you can see down in here that it hasn't affected any of my storage here because this is the leg that it's attached to on the other side. And it doesn't interfere with me getting into this storage down here. See, like this is all my butane. Here's my leveling blocks, and then this is going to be filled with stuff when I'm traveling. So I need to be able to access all of this like this. It's on the other side. It's not even. It's not. It will not be in my way. So there it is. That's what a DC to DC charger looks like. So you can just see the size of it. There's my hand, right, and it's about this thick. It's about as thick as my fingers. That's the end of it, right on the leg of the bed. So another thing we had to do was I needed to put a switch in. So this is the switch right here. We were trying to figure out the best place to put that. And I decided that I wanted to reach the switch from either the back or from the driver's seat. So this is, if it's facing this way, it's working on the car battery. This is off. And then this is solar panels. What's really great about this is that it never has to be off. I can keep it on car, and when I start the car, it's still coming in at 0 for like the first minute. After a minute, after that warms up, then it starts bringing in 700 plus watts. 700 with the other wire that I had coming here. It was bringing in about 110, 120. Now it's bringing in 700 plus. Okay. And then when you turn the car off, if you look at this for about 2 to 3 minutes, it's still drawing. It might be about, it looked like it was hovering around 100 to 150. And then you just kind of watch those numbers. And he said it's nothing that's going to drain your battery, because it's about 2 minutes, and then boom, it goes to 0. You don't even have to turn this off. That's really good, because I'm going to keep it on car, and I'm only going to turn it on to solar when I'm parked and I'm in the sun. And so how awesome is that? So this switch was this big chunk of a thing about this thick, and I'm like, oh, I can't have that here, because it's going to be right out to the bed. I'm going to keep hitting it when I sleep. So that's why, instead of mounting it on here, he drilled a hole in this cabinet, and this is it right here. So he recessed it inside of the cabinet. It's just, it's taken this space, but it's totally fine. And that's the back of the switch. All the wires. He brought them down, because underneath this cabinet that's sitting on this table, there's about this much space that it overhangs. So in that space, he drilled those holes, and the wires are going down there. I'll tell you where the other wires are. There's a lot of wiring involved in this. There was a lot of wiring involved. This is all the wiring. Look behind the driver's seat. It's all of these wires. These are all the solar panels and the wires that are coming. He had this whole thing apart right here. This whole thing was off. My whole dashboard was off, and everything was being fed through there. It came through here like this, up through here, and there it is. So here's all these wires. He just zip tied them all together. This little thing is a breaker, and then there's this thing that's connecting. I don't even know what that is. And then you can see right on the leg of that bed, there's another little device, and I'm not really sure about that. I think that's like a trip switch or something, like like a fuse. Oh, it's a fuse, I think. That's what it is. It's a fuse. So that's attached to that leg of the bed. And then everything goes across the bed. It's all attached up on the bed frame, and then it goes right over to the DC to DC charger. And that's all the work that he did. And then when I put my chair back, and then when I put my chair back, check it out. You don't see any of those wires. You don't see any wires. And you don't see the DC to DC charger. And you just see that little switch a little bit. You just see the face of that red switch. And I am good to go. Now, we finished up really late last night, and that was the only thing that he did yesterday. I need to go back again. I'm going to go next week sometime, and we're going to get my puck lights up. I'm going to have puck lights hardwired to my Bluetti, so I can just have a switch for my lights. And he's also going to put in a shore power plug on the outside of my van. And he's also going to fix the fuses on my the cigarette lighter plugs in my van. I have 2 of them, and they're both blown out because I was trying to charge my Bluetti through that. And my little plugs didn't like that. They were just like fried. I fried them both. And so he's going to fix those so I can have those working. And so we finished up, and he had other clients that were there when I was leaving. And he said, you know something? He said, we'll settle up another time. He says, I trust you. So I don't know how much it costs. I won't tell you the price, but I'm going to put it right here, because I think by the time I post this video, because I did text him today and said, let me know what I owe you for yesterday because I want to Venmo him the money. So I'm hoping to hear back from him today, and I'll get him paid up, and I'll be able to put that figure right here, so you can see what that cost. I remember he gave me an estimate, and I forget what that was, but I know that like a lot of times it turns out to be different because there's this involved a lot of stuff and a lot of time, but a lot of wiring and devices and that unit. I'm not even sure how much that unit costs. He told me, and I forget. I'm just getting mixed up. But so I am absolutely thrilled. I am thrilled. You will never hear me bitching and complaining about electricity ever again. I hope. So if you're struggling with creating electricity, um, with your solar panels, and you want surefire way to really charge that up when you drive, this DC to DC charger, I'm just saying, the numbers are good. The numbers are good. And bye for now.